Alright guys, welcome back to another trade recap video. I did post a much shorter version on my TikTok, so feel free to go check that out. I have the TikTok link in my bio, but regardless, going into it on the high time frame, at the start of the day, I wanted to take my trade off of this zone. I had this zone drawn out. I think I even had an alert set out for this zone because it was really nice. Obviously you can see on the hourly we formed that little bit of inducement coming up. But regardless, as per always in the market, you can't just expect something. You have to wait for price action to play out. So anyways, that's what we did. And moving into it, you can see Asia comes down and actually creates equal lows with last New York session. I went over it really quickly on the TikTok, but this ended up being a huge draw in liquidity for myself. So obviously had this marked out. I was already short because, I mean, so far, Monday bearish as fuck. Tomorrow coming in well, sorry. The next day, which was Tuesday, I ended up taking the trade coming in bearish as fuck as well. So obviously, we're just liking this anyways. Dropping down into a smaller time frame, the 30 minute. As you can see on the 30 minute, I did have this zone still drawn. However, this started to take my attention up here. So I think I ended up deleting this zone, set an alert here, but regardless, we're still waiting. We're still waiting for this confirmation. Staying on the 30 minute, as you can see, the one thing that I always preach about, break a structure and that 3 candle downwards or opposite direction, depending whether you're long or short, from the zone happens. So 1 bearish candle, 2 bearish candle, 3 bearish candle. And just so like it happened, we're lucky enough, we got a break of structure, and I guess you can call this MSS if you want, market structure shift for ICT wording, just to put that out there. But regardless, it's just break of structure within that 3 candle zone, dropping into the 15 minute. As you can see, 15 minute here, we start giving little bits of inducement as London opens. So as you can see, 15 minute formed a little bit here, dropping into the 5 minute. This is where I actually started. This is what I was watching it on at the moment. I had my short position ready, actually had a limit order already set. Entry on just at the bottom of the zone. This is another thing that I need to tell you guys. When trading forex pairs, I never really take the refine zone, if that makes sense. I'm only taking the full zone. So, just to clarify that, the full zone versus the refine zone, this would be the full zone here on this candle. But with gold, when I'm trading gold, I like the refine zones. Obviously, that depends on the knowledge you have in the market, etc., etc. However, refine zones, the only time or the main times that I will use them is when the candle after. So how do I try and draw this out? It would be easier to show you on gold because I never really take refine zones on forex pairs, but the refine zone, this, rather than taking it from the wick, will only be used when the next candle after has not closed below. So this, honestly, would be a valid refine zone to take. I could honestly take this refine zone and get an extra 1 RR. So I'm getting another 1% per this trade. This is what I would normally do when trading gold. So as you can see, the zone was formed, but the candle afterwards, this has come from so many backtesting sessions, just personally, where I've actually figured out and glued this strategy together. But regardless, a refine zone I will use only when the next candle after it, let's try and draw this out actually. I'm not sure. So pretty much, if this, like, if this candle came down and closed below here, this is where it closed, let's just say it did close there, then I would be happy to just take the full zone. But because you can see here, the zone actually didn't even go below this body at all, closure of our zone body, then you can take the refine zone. So honestly, I could have taken refine zone here. But regardless, with all forex pairs, like I just said before, I'm only really taking the full zone. So regardless, I had this drawn up, alert set, we've created inducement, it's just nice and slow market structure coming up. Here, look. It's just slow. Makes these equal lows perfectly with last week's Friday New York session, and it's just coming up slow. Obviously, high high, high low, high high, high low, high high, high low, high high, before tapping us in. But anyways, with each of these higher highs and higher lows, it's just forming good market structure. There's not a lot of volume before giving us our entry. That's another thing that is crucial before taking a trade. You don't want to be shot straight into the trade. That's why I have these set trading times. I don't enter a trade before 30 minutes into London Open. So obviously opens at 5. In this little area here, from here to London Open, I would not take a trade these 30 minutes because that's usually, well, personally, where I found a lot of volume comes in. But regardless, you don't want to be shot into the trade because then you just risk, I think I've explained this in the video before, you just risk being stopped out. So anyways, as you can see here, last little bit of inducements getting formed on the 5 minute, comes up, just misses our entry. Honestly, I thought I missed entry here, but left my limit order. It's just gone and created a little bit more inducement slash liquidity, whatever you want to call it, and it ends up coming back in. Let's skip. This is obviously really nice market structure. Boom, inducement, few candles down, didn't break structure at all. Then comes up and taps us in. Come on, let's see. Look at that. It genuinely does not get much better than that. And next candle, full TP at these lows, equal lows. I know before I said target zones like demand zone, supply zone, so yes, I could have taken TP here. It would have been a 1 candle, but equal lows obviously going into the 30 minute. Back up higher time frame, this is all the analysis is. Equal lows are just such a huge draw in liquidity. I would 100% of the time take my TP down towards this area. Yes, it is necessarily safer to do it here, but honestly, once I got tapped in, I hardly had time to move to break even. Like this 5 minute candle, obviously you can see the volume that came from it after tapping us in. Incredible. But that's why you don't want to take other zones. For example, let's look at the 15 minute. Obviously the bias is completely off, but if you want to take, say, this demand zone, for instance, not saying it's actually going to be taken, but if you want to take this demand zone and you see a fucking candle like that, you're instantly going to get stopped. Wait, let's move this out of the way. Say you had a long position here, someone had a long position here. I don't know why you'd be thinking to go long, especially with this draw and liquidity. Oh shit, wrong one. Long position here. This is why I don't enter trades when there's a lot of volume coming in. Because, like, obviously the RR's off, it's horrible, it's not the greatest zone, but this is just an example of volume. When you get candles like this, even on the 5 minute, that is a lot of fucking volume coming to our zone. Well, coming to a zone. Not that we would ever take something like this. But this is why you don't trade it. Look at this. Let's go back to the brush. Look at this. Clean market structure. Clean market structure. Leaving highs. Leaving highs. Just for it to take. Price to take. Price to take, slow itself down. Price to take, slow itself down. Like, it's really, really simple. Instead of having a 15 minute like this. Even this 15 minute, slow, up, down, slow, up, down. On the 5 minute here, launched. Straight to entry. This is why I would avoid taking trades when before getting entered or tapped into your limit order, you see some shit like this. This is not what you want to be taking a trade off of. This is clean. So yeah, anyways. This trade was on Tuesday. Really nice trade. Set us up good for the week again. Obviously, don't know if we're going to be trading again through the week, but that just depends on what price gives us. Obviously, we had news yesterday. We've got news today again. I think it's PPI today, or was PPI yesterday? Regardless, news most of the time stuffs me around because I'm waiting for zones to form, and then news just stuffs up all my zones. I'm waiting for zones to just have their orders sitting there, price actions clean moving around, instead of news just wicking through and fucking it all up. But regardless, nice 1 to 6. To I guess it was starting off the week on a Tuesday, so we'll see if anything else hits.